Somewhere in the north, night settles in the way a blanket settles, softly, without asking anything from you. A thin fog drifts above a wide, dark pond. Moonlight rests on the water like a pale ribbon. The grasses near the edge stand still, each blade holding a tiny bead of dew, as if the whole meadow is wearing quiet jewelry. The air feels cool and clean, like it has been rinsed. You can almost hear the hush itself, barely there, like the pause between slow breaths. Even the trees look like they're practicing deep breathing. Honestly, they're better at it than most of us. And if a pine needle falls somewhere in the distance, it lands with the confidence of something that has absolutely nothing to prove. Now, let your shoulders loosen a little. Let your jaw unclench in that gentle way it sometimes forgets it can do. Let your thoughts arrive and leave like small clouds passing over a sleepy lake, noticed and then allowed to drift on. Welcome to sleepy nature sleep, where the wild grows soft and curiosity becomes calm. Tonight, let your thoughts follow the rhythm of the earth, your breathing settle like evening wind, and your mind wander gently through the quiet wild. If this place feels peaceful, you're always welcome back, like a quiet campfire that never runs out of warmth. No membership card required, only your presence, and maybe your coziest blanket. If you'd like to support the channel, it helps us keep the night lights low and the nature facts cozy, like a small lantern turned down to its softest glow. Tonight, we're drifting into the slow, mossy world of the Eurasian moose, a tall, calm wanderer of northern forests and watery edges. Not a creature of hurry, not a creature of noise, more like a moving silhouette of patience, shaped by long seasons and quiet places. Imagine the landscape first. Wide stretches of birch and pine, ground softened by needles and damp earth, little pools reflecting the sky as if the night is practicing its own gentle self-portrait. In these habitats, everything seems designed for softness, soft water, soft reeds, soft wind, and the kind of silence that doesn't feel empty. It feels full of restful space. And somewhere near the pond's edge, a moose stands with an unbothered grace. Long legs like slow stilts, a heavy, thoughtful head, ears that turn as if listening to the forest's private conversation. The moose doesn't rush because the forest doesn't rush. The pond doesn't compete. The reeds don't audition. Everyone simply belongs. So settle in with me now as we follow the gentle rhythms of this quiet giant, step by slow step, into a night that asks only one thing, that you rest. As the night deepens, the forest begins to feel like a room with the lights turned down low. Not dark in a scary way, just dim, calm, and private. The kind of darkness that makes everything softer around the edges. The pond holds its reflection without ripples, as if it's trying not to wake the moon. Somewhere, a reed leans slightly. Somewhere else, a birch leaf lets go and drifts down with slow confidence, like it has all the time in the world. because it does. And in this gentle world, we can let our thoughts become simpler too. Not gone, just quieter, like turning down the volume on a busy day. Tonight's question arrives in that same spirit, soft, nature-rooted, and open like a small path through tall grass. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Not a big cosmic question, no grand puzzle, just something you can hold lightly, like a warm pebble in your hand. What does it mean to pass through a landscape and simply be part of it? Because the forest is full of lives that do exactly that. They don't negotiate with the wind. They don't argue with the weather. They don't wake up and decide to reinvent themselves before breakfast. They just continue. They respond. They adjust. They rest. And the Eurasian moose, this quiet giant of the wetlands and woodlands, seems like a wonderful guide for that kind of question. A moose doesn't enter a clearing to impress anyone. It doesn't pose for the trees. It doesn't appear to care whether it looks majestic, which, inconveniently for the rest of us, makes it look even more majestic. The moose moves through its habitat as if it has an understanding with the land. Step, pause, breathe. A slow drift along the water's edge, a gentle turn of the head toward the reeds, a calm presence in a world that already knows how to be calm. So as you listen, you might notice this question returning now and then, quietly, like a familiar scent carried on the air. How can you move through your own life with that same softness? Not forcing, not wrestling, not trying to win the day, just being present and letting the world be what it is. And if your mind starts to wander, as minds naturally do, let it wander kindly. If it loops back to a worry, let it pass by like a distant owl call, heard and then gone. We're not solving anything tonight. We're just resting in the idea that some questions aren't meant to be answered quickly. They're meant to be carried gently. And now, with that question tucked quietly beneath the leaves, we'll begin to drift closer to the landscape itself, toward the cool wetlands, the slow forests, and the soft rhythms where the Eurasian moose lives its unhurried, peaceful life. Picture a northern forest at night, the kind that smells faintly of wet bark and pine needles. The ground is springy, padded with moss, and the air carries that clean chill that makes you want to pull the blanket a little higher on your chest. Somewhere, water exists, not loud, not rushing, just present. A pond, a marsh, a slow river bend. It doesn't hurry. It's not trying to impress anyone. This is the home of the Eurasian moose. Woodlands and wetlands woven together like a quiet tapestry. Birch trees with pale trunks stand like gentle lanterns in the moonlight. Dark pines hold their needles close, as if keeping secrets. Reeds and sedges gather at the edges of shallow water, softly swaying even when you can't quite feel the breeze. And in this world, the rhythms are subtle. Day and night don't slam the door on each other. They trade places slowly, Seasons don't burst in dramatically. They arrive like old friends, bringing small changes, a different smell in the air, a new texture underfoot, a shift in the way the light sits on the land. Moose tend to favor these watery edges because wetlands offer what they love most: tender plants, aquatic vegetation, and safe, spacious places to move with comfort. The Eurasian moose is the largest member of the deer family, and it fits into this landscape the way a tall ship fits into a calm harbor, steady, unhurried, and made for slow passage. Their bodies look built for the north, long legs that help them step through snow or shallow water, a heavy head that lowers easily to browse, and a coat that changes with the seasons like a natural blanket system. No shopping required. Nature handles the wardrobe. The sounds here are also gentle, a soft chorus of insects in warmer months, a distant bird call, the quiet tap of a twig as it settles. Sometimes, the only sound is your own breathing, steady and calm, blending into the nighttime like it belongs there too. This landscape has rules, but they aren't strict. They're more like habits. Water collects. Plants grow where the soil stays damp. Animals follow familiar paths that appear and fade again, like stories told in footprints. Everything does what it does, and no one seems stressed about it. If you're noticing your body relaxing as you imagine this place, that's perfect. Let your breath keep matching the scene, slow, soft, and patient. Because now that we've stepped into the landscape, we can begin to meet the moose properly. Not as a headline, not as a fact sheet, but as a quiet presence moving through the night. Near the marsh, the reeds stand like a little forest of their own, slender, whispering, and calm. The water is dark, but not empty. It holds reflections and soft movement beneath the surface, like the night is gently breathing through it. And at the edge, almost blending into the hush, a tall shape stands in patient stillness. A Eurasian moose. At first, it's easy to mistake the moose for part of the landscape, like a tree that decided to wander over for a drink. Long legs rise from the grasses, steady and quiet. The body is large, but the feeling is not heavy. It's more like grounded, like the moose has never once felt the need to rush to anything in its entire life. The moose lowers its head slowly and begins to browse. This isn't frantic eating, it's a quiet routine, selecting leaves, stems, and tender shoots as if reading a menu that has always been there. Moose are herbivores, and their diets often include shrubs, twigs, and aquatic plants, depending on the season. In warmer months, water plants can be especially valuable, nutritious, abundant, and conveniently located in the kind of peaceful places moose seem to appreciate. If you watch closely, softly, in your imagination, you might notice how the moose uses its lips to grasp vegetation with surprising delicacy. For such a large animal, it has a gentle precision, like a giant using chopsticks. very politely. And then there's the way it stands, calm, ears occasionally turning as if monitoring the forest's quiet soundtrack. Moose hearing is good, and those ears can rotate to pick up subtle sounds. But even this alertness feels unhurried. It's awareness without anxiety. The coat of the moose looks dark in the moonlight, sometimes almost black-brown, sometimes deep chocolate. It's thick, insulating, and suited to a world where cold is a common visitor. The neck and shoulders look powerful, and the head carries that long, distinctive profile, part elegant, part, "I woke up like this." As the moose continues its slow browsing, the marsh remains undisturbed. The reeds sway. The water holds its stillness. Nothing is forced. Nothing is conquered. The moose simply takes what it needs, and the landscape continues being itself. And that brings us back to our quiet question. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Maybe it looks like this: a slow presence, a gentle taking, and a calm leaving behind. Just footsteps that fade, and a night that stays peaceful. In the dim world of the forest, details become softer, but they don't disappear. They simply change shape. Sounds become more important. Smells become messages. The air itself feels like it carries information, the way warm tea carries comfort. For a Eurasian moose, this quiet night is not empty at all. It's full of scent trails, plant aromas, damp earth, and the faint mineral smell of water. Moose have a strong sense of smell, and in their world, scent is like a gentle map, not the loud neon kind, more like a hand-drawn sketch on soft paper. Imagine the moose pausing, head slightly lifted, nostrils taking in the air. It doesn't look dramatic. It looks thoughtful, like it's reading the forest's daily newsletter. Tonight's highlights: fresh willow nearby, a cool breeze from the north, and a polite amount of humidity. Hearing also plays its calm part. Moose ears can swivel, and you'll sometimes see them turn independently. One ear listening to the pond, the other listening to the trees. It's a practical skill, but it also gives the moose an appearance of constant, mild curiosity. Like it's always thinking, interesting, carry on. Vision in low light is useful too. Though the forest at night doesn't require sharp detail the way daylight does. Shapes, movement, contrast, those become the language of sight. A moose doesn't need to identify every leaf. It needs to know the feeling of the landscape, the pattern of open space, the familiar curves of the wetland edge. And then there's touch, often overlooked, but quietly present. The moose's hooves press into damp soil. Its legs move through shallow water, feeling the resistance, the temperature, the softness beneath. The body is large, yes, but the contact with the world is subtle. The brush of reeds along its sides, the cool mist settling on its coat, the gentle shift of weight as it stands. There's something soothing about this sensory life. It's not overloaded. It's not frantic. It's attentive, but not demanding. The moose isn't scrolling 100 thoughts at once. It's simply here, in this moment, with the air and the water and the plants. If you like, you can borrow that sense of simplicity for yourself right now. Notice your own senses in the easiest ways: your blanket's weight, the temperature of the room, the softness of your breathing. Nothing to analyze, just noticing. Because in the moose's world, presence isn't a goal. It's just how life is lived, quietly, steadily, and with a calm awareness that makes the night feel even softer. There are paths in the forest that no one paved and no one planned. They appear slowly, over time, through repetition and gentle habit. An animal walks a familiar route. The ground presses down slightly. The plants bend, then rise again. The path remains, faint but readable, like a sentence written softly in moss. The Eurasian moose follows these kinds of paths, not because it must, but because the landscape and the body remember. A moose may move between feeding areas and resting places, often choosing routes that feel comfortable, through wetlands, along forest edges, near quiet water where vegetation grows in tender abundance. Imagine the moose beginning to walk now, not fast, not even medium, just slow enough that you can almost count the seconds between steps. One long leg lifts, the hoof placing down with a soft press into damp ground, then another. The movement is steady, patient, and surprisingly graceful for an animal of such size. In shallow water, the moose steps with ease. Those long legs help it wade comfortably, and wetlands become less like obstacles and more like gentle corridors. The water parts around its legs, then smooths again behind it. No splashing performance, no dramatic entrance. The moose is not here to audition. The moose is here to exist. As it walks, it may pause to browse, plucking a leaf, nibbling a stem, sampling a cluster of aquatic plants. Moose diets shift with the seasons, and in warmer times, aquatic vegetation can be a calm, nourishing part of the menu. In colder times, twigs and woody browse become more common. It's all very practical, but it still looks peaceful, like a slow evening stroll with snacks. And if you're imagining this with sleepy eyes, you might notice how the scene invites your breathing to slow down. Step, breathe. Step, breathe. Pause, breathe. The moose offers a rhythm that doesn't ask you to keep up. It simply invites you to soften into it. Our question from earlier drifts back in, like a leaf floating on water. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? The moose leaves behind a faint track, yes, but not a disruption. More like a signature. A quiet reminder that life passed through here, calmly, and then continued on. And as the moose's silhouette moves deeper along the wetland edge, the night remains gentle. The reeds continue swaying. The pond continues holding the moon's reflection. Everything stays slow and soft and steady, like the world is giving you permission to do the same. If you want, let your eyelids feel heavier now. Let the moose walk for you. Let the forest breathe for you. And let sleep begin to feel closer, like a warm, quiet shore. The forest air is cool enough to feel like it has a clean edge to it, like a glass of water that's been sitting quietly in the shade. And in this kind of climate, comfort is not a luxury. It's a sensible plan. The Eurasian moose seems to understand that in the calm way nature understands most things, without fuss, without a checklist, without the dramatic new year, new me energy. A moose carries its warmth with it, wrapped in a thick coat that suits northern seasons. In summer, the coat is lighter, still protective, but less dense. In winter, it becomes deeper and more insulating, like the forest quietly tucking the moose in. The hairs themselves are structured in a way that helps trap warmth, and the moose's body holds a steady, calm temperature, even when the outside air feels sharp. If you could run a hand along the moose's coat, gently, respectfully, in your imagination, you might notice it looks a bit shaggy in places, especially around the neck and shoulders. It has that, I woke up in a cozy cabin and didn't bother with a hairbrush style. Honestly, it works. The moose is pulling it off. And then there are the long legs, which don't just help with walking through snow or wading through water. They also keep the body lifted away from colder ground and deeper drifts. It's like nature designed the moose with built-in winter clearance. No upgrades needed, no subscription required. The moose's body shape also plays a quiet role in warmth. A large body holds heat efficiently, and the moose's steady pace helps conserve energy. Nothing in its lifestyle screams burnout. It's more like slow living, but make it functional. In the calm of the forest, you can imagine the moose pausing near a stand of trees, sheltered from wind. Wind can feel sharper in open spaces, but within the woods it softens, broken up by trunks and branches. Even the air seems gentler there, as if it learned manners. And while we're here, you might notice something soothing about how the moose lives with the seasons. It doesn't argue with winter. It doesn't demand summer. It adapts, quietly, steadily. It puts on the right coat at the right time, and then continues being itself. Maybe there's something restful in that for us too. Not trying to force a season to be different, not trying to power through the cold parts of life, just adjusting gently, adding a layer, drinking water, resting when rest is available. Because tonight, like the moose, you're allowed to be warm and safe and unhurried. You're allowed to be cozy, and if your blanket is slightly uneven, you may adjust it now, like a moose with excellent taste and comfort. At the edge of the wetland, the plants gather like a quiet buffet. No bright signs, no loud music, just greenery, water, and the steady promise that something tender is growing nearby. The Eurasian moose is an herbivore, and it eats in a way that feels almost meditative. It doesn't rush through a meal. It samples. It chooses. It takes its time, like someone who genuinely enjoys dinner and isn't trying to eat while answering emails. In warmer months, moose often browse on leaves, shrubs, and soft aquatic plants. Wetlands can offer a rich variety: water lilies, pondweed, and other submerged or floating vegetation. These plants can be nutrient-dense, and the shallow water makes them accessible. You might picture the moose stepping into the pond with calm confidence, lowering its head and drawing up plants from below the surface with slow, steady motions. There's something deeply soothing about watching an animal feed without haste. The moose's lips and tongue help it grasp vegetation, and its jaw works in a patient rhythm. Chew, pause, chew, breathe. If the moose had a motto, it might be, "No need to multitask, I am simply eating." And you know what? That's inspiring. When autumn arrives, the menu shifts, leaves thin out. Aquatic plants become less available. Moose may turn more toward woody browse, twigs, bark, and the buds of trees like willow or birch. It's not dramatic, just a quiet seasonal adjustment, the way you might switch from iced drinks to warm tea without making a whole announcement about it. Digestion, too, is a slow, steady process. Like other deer relatives, moose are ruminants, meaning they have a specialized stomach system that helps them break down tough plant material. It's a long, patient biological conversation with a leaf. Nature takes its time, no shortcuts, no rushing the process. And if you feel your mind slowing while you listen, good. Let it. Let your thoughts chew a little less. Let your attention settle into the soft rhythm of the moose's routine. Because in a world that often feels like it's sprinting, the moose offers a different pace. A pace where a meal is just a meal, where time is allowed to stretch, where the wetland provides quietly and the moose receives quietly, and nothing needs to be louder than it already is. Let that calm settle into you now, like a slow sip of warm water, and let your breathing follow the moose's gentle rhythm, steady, unhurried, and kind. In the dim forest light, shapes look softer, but some silhouettes still stand out, like the wide branching antlers of a male Eurasian moose, rising above the head like a quiet crown made of wood. Antlers are one of nature's most fascinating seasonal rhythms. They grow, they change, they are carried for a time, and then they are let go. Not with drama, not with sadness, just as part of the cycle, like leaves falling when autumn decides it's time. Moose antlers are made of bone, and they grow with a surprising speed during the growing season. While they're developing, they're covered in velvet, a soft, living layer of skin and blood vessels that helps feed the growing bone. Velvet makes antlers look almost plush, as if nature briefly decided antlers should be cozy. Like, here, have some fuzzy scaffolding while you build. As the antlers finish growing, the velvet dries and is shed, leaving the hard bone structure beneath. Moose antlers can look broad and palmate, like a hand-shaped paddle, especially in some individuals. They become part of the moose's silhouette, part of its presence, part of its quiet identity for that season. And then, later, antlers are shed. The moose simply continues on without them, returning to a simpler outline. There's something gentle about that, about carrying something for a time, and then letting it go when the season shifts. If you think about our question, moving through a place without trying to change it, antlers feel like a related thought. The moose doesn't hold on to what the season no longer needs. It doesn't cling. It doesn't argue. It just adjusts. And maybe there's a small lesson there for us too, though we don't need to turn it into a lecture. Just a soft reflection. Some things are meant to be carried only for a while. Certain worries, certain tensions, certain heavy thoughts that don't need to follow you into sleep. So if you notice a worry resting on your mind right now, imagine it like an antler in velvet, temporary, seasonal, not permanent. You don't have to solve it tonight. You can let it loosen, slowly. You can let it fall away in its own time. The moose stands in the forest with its calm dignity, antlers or no antlers, and remains exactly what it is, a quiet presence, steady and unhurried. Let your breathing be like that, too. Calm, slow, a gentle cycle, in and out, with nothing to prove. Along the wetland's edge, the ground is often soft, damp soil, moss, leaf litter, and patches of mud that hold impressions like memory foam for the forest. If a Eurasian moose walks here, it leaves footprints that are clear but not loud. A moose hoof print is cloven, like other deer, with two main toes. In soft ground, the print can look deep and rounded at the edges, with a suggestion of weight. But even that weight feels gentle. The moose isn't stomping. It's simply arriving. Imagine following a line of tracks in your mind, not as a chase, nothing like that, just as a quiet reading of where a moose has been. The tracks pass between sedges near a stand of willows toward a shallow pool where water plants gather. You can almost picture the moose moving through this path earlier, slowly, calmly, leaving behind a trail that says, "I was here, and nothing more." Tracks are one of nature's quiet languages. They don't shout. They don't demand attention. They simply remain for a while, then soften, then disappear. A little rain smooths them. A breeze rearranges loose leaves. A thin layer of frost turns everything into a subtle blur. The landscape holds the memory briefly, then returns to itself. And isn't that comforting? Because we often treat our own days like they need permanent records, every moment captured, every thought saved, every feeling examined. But nature doesn't do that. Nature lets things pass through. A footprint appears. A footprint fades. The world continues. The moose's path might cross open ground, then slip into trees. Moose often move between habitats, forest cover, and wetland food sources, following routes that feel familiar. They may choose the same general corridors across seasons, drawn by water, vegetation, and safe, quiet spaces. If you notice your mind following these tracks, let it do so slowly. Let it be simple. One print, then the next. Your breathing can match the rhythm. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And if a thought appears, some small worry, some task for tomorrow, imagine it like a footprint, too. A brief impression in the soft earth of your mind. It can be noticed and then gently smoothed away by the calm weather of sleep. The moose leaves tracks behind without trying to carve a monument. It moves through the world with quiet respect. And tonight, you can do the same, moving through your own thoughts with softness, letting them form and fade while you drift closer to rest. In the northern forest, rest doesn't look like a dramatic event. It looks like a pause, a settling, a quiet choice to stand in a sheltered place and simply be. The Eurasian moose finds comfort in still corners of the landscape, places where wind is softer, where trees break up the cold air, where the ground is steady and the sounds are gentle. Sometimes that might mean standing among dense conifers. Sometimes it means pausing near a thicket of shrubs. Sometimes it means lingering at the wetland edge where reeds form a calm, whispering wall. Moose do rest, of course, and they can lie down when they feel safe. But even when standing, a moose can look restful. There's a kind of vertical napping energy about them sometimes, like, yes, I am awake, technically, but I am also extremely relaxed. A mood we can all appreciate. Rest in nature often comes with awareness, but it isn't anxious. It's a gentle attention to the environment, ears turning occasionally, body positioned comfortably, breath steady. A moose seems to treat rest as something normal and necessary, not something to earn after exhausting itself. No guilt, no internal lecture, just rest. In winter, sheltered areas matter even more. Thick trees block wind. Snow can be deeper in open areas, but calmer beneath branches. In warmer seasons, shade and cool air near water can feel soothing. The moose chooses these places with the calm wisdom of experience, like it knows exactly where the forest feels most comfortable. And maybe, as you listen, you can begin choosing your own resting place more fully too, right where you are. Let your body settle into the surface beneath you. Let your breath be slow, like wind easing through reeds. If you need to shift a shoulder or adjust your pillow, do it gently, like a moose repositioning with quiet dignity. Our question returns again. Softly, what does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Perhaps it also means knowing when to stop moving at all. Knowing when the best thing you can do is rest, without forcing, without negotiating, without making rest into another task. The moose doesn't demand the forest become different before it relaxes. It simply finds a still corner, lets the night be the night, and settles into calm. So tonight, let the world outside your room be whatever it is. Let tomorrow wait quietly. Let your thoughts soften at the edges, and let your body rest the way the moose rests, patient, steady, safe, and unhurried. The pond looks almost still enough to hold a secret. Moonlight rests on the surface in soft patches, and the reeds at the edge sway like they're half asleep. In this calm, the Eurasian moose steps forward with a steady ease, as if water has always been part of its path. You can imagine the moose standing in the shallows, legs making gentle ripples that spread outward and then dissolve. The water is cool, but not harsh, more like a calm hand on warm skin. And then, slowly, the moose lowers its head toward the surface, nose close to the water, breathing in the damp air. In warmer seasons, moose often feed on aquatic plants, soft, nutrient-rich greens that grow beneath the surface or float gently above it. The moose's long face and strong neck make this kind of feeding feel natural, like a slow bow to the pond. It reaches down, gathers plants with careful lips, and lifts them up with patient precision. There's a peaceful practicality in it. The moose doesn't hurry. It doesn't splash for drama. It simply takes what it needs in the quiet way the wetland offers it. Chew. Pause. Chew. Breathe. A rhythm as gentle as rocking. Sometimes, when moose feed on submerged plants, they can dip their heads down and lift them again, water dripping softly from their muzzle. It creates a small, soothing sound, tiny drops returning home. If you've ever listened to rain tapping on a window, it feels like that kind of comfort, only slower and closer. And if your mind wants a small smile, the moose can look a little like it's doing a very serious salad inspection. Like, yes, I'll have the pondweed. No, not that one. That one looks like it's been touched by a fish. Very discerning, very professional. Around the moose, the wetland continues its own quiet life. Plants sway below the surface. A faint insect chorus hums somewhere in the distance. The air smells of water and earth, that clean scent that makes everything feel simpler. You might notice how easy it is to breathe while imagining this scene. There's no pressure in it, nothing to solve. Just water, plants, and a calm animal moving in slow harmony with its place. And our question drifts nearby again, soft as fog. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Perhaps it looks like this, leaving the pond mostly as it was, taking only a little green, and giving back only gentle ripples that fade into stillness. Let your breath do the same now, small ripples, then calm again. Step away from the pond, and the world becomes mossy and green again. Damp earth, soft leaf litter, and shrubs that gather along the forest edge, like a quiet pantry. The Eurasian moose moves here with calm familiarity, as if it knows every plant the way you might know the corners of your own room in the dark. Moose browsing is gentle and steady. They favor leaves, twigs, and tender shoots, often choosing plants like willow and birch depending on what the season offers. You can imagine the moose reaching its head toward a willow branch, lips closing around it with surprising delicacy, then drawing it in slowly, as if the branch is cooperating. Which, in a way, it is. The moose chews with a patient rhythm, not rushed, not distracted, just chew, pause, chew, breathe. It's a pace that makes you feel like time has more space inside it. In the warmer months, the menu is softer, leafy greens, fresh growth, and the gentle abundance of wetlands. As the seasons cool, moose often shift toward woody browse, twigs and buds that remain when leafy growth fades. It's not a dramatic change. It's simply the forest offering different options and the moose responding calmly, like someone switching from fruit to soup when autumn arrives. And because moose are ruminants, their digestion is built for this slow work, breaking down plant material with steady patience. It's like the moose is having a long, peaceful conversation with a twig. No arguing, just processing. If your brain wants a small, soft joke, here it is. A moose is basically a tall, elegant eating machine with excellent posture, like a forest giraffe that decided to specialize in shrubs and quiet contemplation. And unlike many of us, it does not snack while standing in front of the fridge, wondering what it came here for. The moose knows. As the moose browses, the forest remains calm. Leaves barely tremble. The air stays cool and clean. There's a subtle comfort in seeing an animal take nourishment without urgency. Just steady routines, small choices, and long pauses. And while you listen, you can let that idea settle into you too. You don't need to chase anything tonight. You don't need to hurry your thoughts into neat lines. You can let them arrive and pass, like the moose selecting leaves, one at a time, gently. Our quiet question lingers again. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Maybe it's choosing what you need, leaving the rest, and trusting that the forest, like your mind, can remain soft and whole. Let your breath stay slow. Let your body stay heavy and comfortable. And let the moose continue browsing in the background of your thoughts, like a calm lullaby made of leaves. In the quiet wild, sound is never really gone. It just becomes smaller. A distant bird call, the faint hum of insects, the subtle rustle of leaves as they settle into stillness. And if you listen closely enough, softly enough, you might notice the gentle language of the moose. Moose aren't noisy creatures by nature. Their world is built on quiet movement and calm presence. Still, they do communicate, especially through subtle sounds, low vocalizations that can feel more like murmurs than announcements. You can imagine a moose standing near the wetland edge, ears turning, body relaxed. Sometimes, moose make soft grunts or low calls. In certain seasons, especially in autumn, vocal sounds can become more common, still not dramatic, still not loud in a jarring way, just a gentle part of their social rhythm. A low note carried through trees, like a voice speaking respectfully in a library. There's something soothing about that. It's communication without clutter, no endless chatter, No frantic, "Did you see my message?" energy. Just a calm sound offered to the forest, and then the quiet returns. Moose also communicate through scent, one of the most important languages in their world. A moose can gather information from the air itself, reading who has passed by and when, like a slow-moving story written in invisible ink. It's all very quiet, very private, very, "I know what I know, and I don't need to post about it." If your mind feels busy tonight, it can be comforting to imagine communication as something soft and simple. Not a flood, not a storm, just a low note, a gentle signal, a quiet understanding. And then there are the sounds made simply by being a large animal in a calm place. The soft press of hooves in damp ground, the mild swish of reeds brushing against a coat, the slow breath expanding and releasing. Those are moose sounds too, unintentional lullabies of steady life. You might even picture the moose exhaling, warm breath briefly visible in cooler air, then disappearing. A reminder that even the biggest bodies make small, gentle motions, in and out, with no performance required. A small, feather-light bit of humor. If the moose had a podcast, it would be one episode titled, and it would be 4 hours long. People would still rate it 5 stars because it would be incredibly calming. As you listen now, let sound become your soft guide. Notice your own breathing, the quiet of your room, the way the world holds stillness at night. You don't need to fill the silence. The forest doesn't, the moose doesn't. And our question returns, as quiet as a sigh. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Sometimes it means letting the night stay quiet and letting yourself become quiet with it. The northern landscape changes the way a gentle song changes, almost without you noticing, until you realize the melody has shifted. A little less daylight, cooler air that lingers longer, leaves that look slightly more tired in a charming way, like they've been working hard all summer and are ready for a long nap. For the Eurasian moose, seasons are not surprises. They are rhythms, a quiet turning of pages. In warmer months, wetlands feel generous, lush aquatic plants, soft leaves, and long evenings where light hangs in the sky like a slow smile. The moose moves through this world with calm steadiness, browsing and waiting, letting water and forest share the work of providing. As the year leans toward autumn, the air begins to feel crisper. The smell of damp earth becomes deeper, more mineral. Leaves change color, not suddenly, but gradually, like the forest experimenting with different shades. The moose continues its routines, adjusting its diet as greenery shifts, more browsing on twigs and woody plants when softer leaves thin out. You can imagine the moose's coat changing too, growing thicker as the world cools, not in a frantic way, just slowly, sensibly. Nature's quiet layering system. It's the kind of seasonal planning that makes you want to nod and say, "Yes, this is why you always bring a jacket." Daylight shortens, nights stretch out, And there's something deeply restful in that widening darkness. It feels like the world is gently encouraging longer pauses, earlier rest, slower mornings. In winter, the landscape becomes even more muted, soft whites, deep greens, and the clean hush of cold air. The moose's long legs help it move through snow with that same steady rhythm, and its thick coat holds warmth like a quiet promise. Everything about the moose seems built for patience. And maybe that's what seasons teach best, not just change, but the gentleness of change. The way life can shift without needing a dramatic announcement. The way the forest can let go of leaves without panic. The way the moose can keep being itself through different weather, different light, different textures underfoot. If your mind has been holding on tightly to something, let the season's lesson feel close. You can loosen. You can soften. You can let a thought drift away like a leaf finding its way to the ground. A small, calm smile. The moose does not do new season, new personality. It simply does new season, same moose, different coat. And honestly, that feels like a healthy approach. Our question returns like a familiar breeze. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Perhaps it means moving with the seasons, not against them, and letting your body follow the same quiet drift into rest. In the forest, learning often happens without lessons. No speeches, no schedules, just closeness, repetition, and time. When moose calves are young, they stay close to their mothers, moving through the landscape as if following a calm, steady compass. You can imagine the pair near the wetland edge, mother tall and grounded, calf smaller and softer in outline, like a quiet echo of the larger form. The calf learns the world by being in it. It learns where the ground feels firm and where it feels soft. It learns which plants are good to browse. It learns the gentle paths through reeds and shrubs, not through pressure, but through presence, watching, following, pausing. There's something comforting about that, because so much of human life feels like it demands immediate understanding. But the forest doesn't demand that. The forest allows learning to take its time. A mother moose offers steady guidance in the simplest ways, moving slowly, choosing calm routes, pausing where it's comfortable. The calf stays near, matching pace as best it can, sometimes looking a little wobbly at first, the way young legs often do. It's not clumsy in an embarrassing way, more in an endearing way, like the calf is saying, "I am new here, please be patient." And the forest quietly replies, "Of course." And if you'd like a soft smile, baby moose energy can feel a bit like wearing shoes slightly too big, earnest, determined, and quietly adorable. The kind of vibe that makes you want to whisper, "You're doing great, sweetie," even though the calf absolutely did not ask. As days pass, the calf becomes steadier. It learns the slow art of browsing, how to reach, how to nibble, how to chew with patience. It learns the feel of water around its legs. It learns that silence is normal here and that calm is a safe way to exist. And for us, listening from a warm bed, this gentle learning offers a quiet invitation. You don't have to know everything tonight. You don't have to rehearse tomorrow. You don't have to perfect your thoughts before you rest. You can let your mind be a little young and wobbly. You can let it learn the softness of sleep through repetition, breath after breath, blink after blink, letting comfort become familiar again. Our question returns once more, tender and open. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Sometimes it means trusting the path, following what feels steady, letting learning be slow, letting rest be natural. So if your eyes feel heavy now, let them. If your thoughts drift, let them. Like a calf beside its mother, you're allowed to settle into the quiet and simply be carried by it. In the north, the ground often feels like it has been thoughtfully padded. Moss spreads in soft quilts between roots and stones, turning the forest floor into something that looks like it was designed for quiet walking and even quieter resting. If the world had interior decorators, moss would be the one suggesting, let's add texture and make it calming. The Eurasian moose moves over this mossy earth with a steady, unhurried ease. Each step presses down gently, then releases, leaving the moss to rise back up the way a pillow fluffs after you move your head. The moose doesn't seem to take much from the ground, just a brief contact, a soft impression, and then the moment is gone. Moss itself is a small kind of wonder. It doesn't have deep roots like trees. It doesn't grow tall or try to be dramatic. It simply spreads slowly, holding moisture, softening the landscape, and creating tiny pockets of life. Under moss, the forest stays a little cooler, a little damp, a little more stable, like a quiet room where the air never feels too sharp. If you imagine looking closely, very closely, you'd find a whole miniature world. Tiny plants, tiny insects, tiny bits of leaf and soil being turned into future forest. It's not busy in a loud way. It's busy the way a clock is busy, steady, patient, always doing its job without asking for applause. Moose benefit from this soft ground in gentle ways. Damp habitats can support the plants they like to browse. Moist soils can grow willows and aquatic edges that offer tender leaves and shoots in the warm seasons. Even the air in these places feels kinder, cooler, fresher, carrying that clean scent of water and green things. And there's something comforting about the way moss reminds us that not everything important is big. The moose is enormous, yes, but the calm it moves through is built partly by small lives, plants that keep water in the ground, tiny organisms that recycle the forest's fallen leaves, quiet layers that make the world softer. A small, sleepy smile. Moss never hurries. Moss is living proof that slow can still be wildly successful. It's basically the forest's long-term planner, wearing a soft green sweater. Our question drifts in again. like mist between trees. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Perhaps it means noticing what's already doing the work, quietly, steadily, and letting yourself soften around it. So let your own body feel like it's resting on moss now, supported, cushioned, and safe. Let your thoughts become smaller, simpler. Let them settle into the soft ground of sleep. Night has its own weather, even when it seems still. The temperature shifts slowly, like a hand turning a dimmer switch. The air cools near water. A thin layer of fog may appear, not with drama, but with quiet inevitability, like the forest exhaling. The Eurasian moose lives inside these subtle changes. It doesn't need a forecast app. It doesn't check hourly updates. It simply feels the night, the way you might feel a blanket settle more comfortably after you stop moving. As the air cools, scents change too. Damp earth becomes more noticeable. Plants smell greener. Water carries that mineral freshness that makes everything feel clean and calm. For a moose, smell is a gentle guide, and nighttime air can hold scent in soft layers, cool, stable, and quietly informative. You can imagine the moose standing at the edge of the wetland, breathing slowly. In cold air, each exhale feels warmer, like a small private cloud that appears and then dissolves. The moose isn't performing anything. It's simply being a warm-bodied creature in a cool world, one breath at a time. These temperature changes influence the whole landscape's rhythm. Insects quiet down, water becomes smoother, leaves stop fluttering so much. The forest feels like it is settling its shoulders, letting go of the day. And if you're listening from your own resting place, you might notice your body wants to copy that pattern. Your breathing slows, your thoughts stretch out and lose their sharp edges. The night doesn't demand your attention. It offers you space, a small, gentle joke. If the moose could review the night air, it would probably say, 5 stars, very crisp, slight notes of pond, would breathe again, and honestly, fair. The moose's coat helps it stay comfortable as temperatures shift. It's built for insulation, for calm endurance, for being steady through cool evenings and colder months. And there's a quiet lesson there, not a lecture, just a feeling. You can be steady too. You don't have to fight the night. You can let it cool your busy thoughts the way it cools the air above the pond. Our question returns softly. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Sometimes it means allowing the night to be the night, cool, dim, gentle, and allowing yourself to be exactly what you are within it. So let the temperature of your own room be whatever it is. Let your blanket do its job. Let your breathing become your only small weather system. In and out. Slow, soft, and safe. There's a special kind of calm where the forest edge meets the wetland. It's not quite deep woods, not quite open water. It's a boundary that feels more like a handshake, trees offering shade, water offering space, plants gathering in a gentle crowd. This edge is often where the Eurasian moose seems most at home. The moose can browse on shrubs and young trees near the forest line, then step into the shallows for aquatic plants. It's like having two cozy rooms connected by a quiet hallway. No need to choose just one. Imagine the moose moving along this edge now. Not hidden, not spotlighted, just present. Its long legs carry it through grasses and sedges with steady ease. Its ears turn occasionally, listening to the soft language of the place, a distant bird, a faint insect hum, the barely there movement of water against reeds. Edges support variety. Plant life tends to be rich here. Willows, birches, sedges, and wetland plants all living close together. And where plants gather, life feels abundant in a peaceful way. Not bustling, just full. The moose browses slowly, tender leaves, twigs, shoots. Then perhaps it pauses at the waterline, lowers its head, and takes in the scent of the wetland. The whole scene feels like a long exhale. There's something soothing about habitats that don't insist on being one thing. Forest is forest, wetland is wetland, and the edge is allowed to be a little of both. It doesn't have an identity crisis. It doesn't ask, "What's my brand?" It simply is. A very stable boundary, emotionally speaking. A soft smile. If ecosystems had personalities, the edge would be the friend who can hang out with everyone, quietly, comfortably, without overthinking it. The moose appreciates that kind of flexibility, and maybe you can too. You don't have to be only one thing tonight. You can be tired and okay. You can be thoughtful and sleepy. You can be a person with a busy life and still be allowed to rest. Our question drifts in again. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Perhaps it looks like this: walking the edge, taking what you need, and letting both worlds remain soft and whole. So let your mind become an edge now, where waking thoughts fade into sleep, where the day meets the night, where you don't have to decide anything except to settle gently into rest. In a landscape of water and plants, there are quieter ingredients too, things you can't always see, but that shape comfort and health in gentle ways. Minerals in soil, nutrients in water, the small steady chemistry of the earth doing its slow work. For animals like the Eurasian moose, these details matter, even if they never announce themselves. Plants draw minerals from the ground and store them in leaves and stems. Wetlands collect nutrients in calm pools. The moose, browsing and feeding, becomes part of that cycle, taking in what the land has been patiently preparing. Sometimes, mammals seek out mineral-rich spots, natural sources of salts and nutrients, especially during certain seasons. You can imagine the moose pausing at a place where the soil tastes slightly different, or where water carries a faint mineral tang. Not as a dramatic craving, just as a quiet preference, like choosing the right kind of broth on a cool evening. This is one of the forest's most calming truths. Health is often maintained by small routines, not big events. Eating varied plants, drinking water, resting, moving steadily. The moose's life is built from gentle repetitions, and those repetitions keep it well. A soft bit of humor. The moose is basically the ultimate wellness influencer, but in the least annoying way possible. No motivational quotes, no rise and grind, just browse and breathe. Honestly, refreshing. As the moose moves through its habitat, it doesn't separate itself from the land. It is part of the land's slow circulation, nutrients moving from soil to plant to animal and back again over time. It's all incredibly unhurried. The earth is not in a rush. The moose is not in a rush. The wetland is certainly not in a rush. And that's comforting for us too, because sleep works like that. Sleep isn't something you force. It's something you allow. Your body already knows what to do. It has its own quiet mineral logic, signals and cycles, chemical whispers that say, now we soften, now we settle. Our question returns, light as a leaf. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Maybe it means trusting the small systems, trusting the slow, invisible work, letting nourishment and rest be simple. So tonight, you don't need grand solutions. You don't need big transformations. You only need the gentle basics: breath, warmth, stillness. Let your thoughts become simple nutrients, small, harmless, easy to digest until sleep arrives quietly and makes everything softer. The Eurasian moose looks ancient in a peaceful way, not old as in tired, old as in timeless. Like it belongs to long winters, long forests, and long stories written slowly across the earth. When we think about how animals become what they are, it can feel like a big concept. But tonight, we can hold it gently. Evolution, in this calm telling, is simply long change. So slow, it feels like the world is breathing over centuries. The moose's long legs suit wetlands and snow. Its strong neck supports browsing on shrubs and water plants. Its thick coat fits cold climates. Its broad hooves help distribute weight on soft ground and snowy surfaces. None of this arrived overnight. It arrived the way moss arrives, patiently. And there's something deeply soothing about that pace. Nature doesn't hurry to become itself. It takes its time. It tries small variations over generations. It keeps what works gently, the way you might keep a favorite blanket because it simply feels right. The moose is part of a wider family of deer, yet it feels uniquely designed for northern ecosystems. It's like the forest asked for a creature that could move calmly between trees and water, carry warmth through winter, and browse without needing urgency. And the answer, over a long, quiet time, became the moose. A sleepy smile. If evolution were a customer service chat, it would respond after 10,000 years with, "Thank you for your patience. We have updated the hooves." And everyone would be like, "Perfect. No notes." But the real comfort is this: the moose's body is a record of the landscape. It reflects the wetlands, the snow, the plants, the seasons. It is shaped by its place without trying to dominate its place. It belongs, and the land belongs, and the relationship feels calm. Our question returns again, almost like a lullaby. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Perhaps it means becoming shaped by softness, allowing time to do its work, letting life be steady rather than forced. And for you, lying here, you don't need to evolve tonight. You don't need to become a new version of yourself by morning. You only need to rest. Sleep is your long, quiet ally, your gentle nightly renewal, built from small repetitions across your whole life, breath after breath, night after night. So let the moose's long story hold you for a moment. Let the idea of slow change ease any pressure you've been carrying. Tonight, you're allowed to be exactly who you are and drift softly into sleep. Moonlight in the northern forest doesn't feel like a spotlight. It feels like someone turned on a lamp in another room and left the door slightly open, just enough glow to soften the dark. The pond holds a pale reflection. The grasses look silver at the tips. Shadows stretch gently, not sharp, not dramatic, just long and relaxed. The Eurasian moose moves through this kind of light with a calm that feels almost contagious. It doesn't behave like the night is a problem to solve. It treats the night like a familiar blanket. Step, pause, breathe, step. The moose's silhouette is large and quiet, and the moon seems to accept it without comment. In low light, animals often rely on more than vision. Hearing and smell take on extra importance. For the moose, the night is full of information that doesn't require bright daylight. A faint scent on the breeze, the damp smell of reeds, the clean mineral note of water. It's all there, like the forest is speaking in whispers instead of headlines. And watching this in your mind can feel like a gentle permission slip. You don't need to be bright and sharp right now. You don't need to figure things out. You can let your thoughts become dimmer, softer, like moonlight itself. Sometimes the moose pauses in the open, still as a statue made of patience. Ears turn slowly, one then the other, as if checking in with the night. Not anxious, just aware. The kind of awareness that feels like listening to rain rather than listening for danger. A small, sleepy bit of humor. The moose has never once stayed up late, catching up on life. The moose does not doom scroll. The moose does not spiral over a text message. The moose simply mooses. And honestly, that's a level of peace we can all admire. Moonlight also makes the landscape feel simpler. Details blur. The world becomes shapes and textures. Water, trees, sky. And in that simplicity, the mind can rest. It doesn't have to catalog every detail. It can just float. Our quiet question returns, gentle as fog. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Perhaps it means accepting the light you have, not demanding more brightness, not forcing clarity, just moving softly within what is already enough. So if your thoughts feel a little blurry tonight, that's okay. If you can't see the whole path ahead, that's okay. The moose doesn't need a full map under moonlight. It needs one slow step, then another. Let your breath be moonlight now. Faint, steady, soft. And let sleep feel less like an achievement and more like a natural drifting into darkness that has always been kind. If you could quietly follow a Eurasian moose through a full day without interrupting, without asking it to perform for the camera, you'd notice something wonderfully simple. Its life is made of routines, not rigid schedules, just gentle cycles: feed, move, rest, browse again. The kind of rhythm that feels like a lullaby written by the landscape. Moose tend to spend large portions of their time feeding because plants, while peaceful, are not always packed with energy in the way, say, a cookie is. So the moose eats patiently in many small sessions, browsing shrubs and leaves, waiting for aquatic plants in warm seasons, shifting to twigs and buds when winter arrives. The diet changes, but the mood doesn't. It stays calm. Then there is movement, slow, steady walking along familiar routes. Moose often move between forest cover and wetland food sources, choosing paths that feel comfortable. A step through moss, a step through reeds, a pause near water, a breath that looks like it belongs in the air. Rest comes in quiet chapters throughout the day and night. Sometimes that means lying down in a sheltered area. Sometimes it means standing still, body relaxed, eyes half-lidded, like the moose is participating in a very serious meditation retreat. No talking, no devices, just moose. The forest supports this routine with subtle consistency. The wetland offers food, trees offer shelter, the ground offers softness, the air offers scents that guide. It's a calm partnership, not a battle. A moose doesn't need to win the day. It just needs to live it. A gentle laugh. If the moose had a planner, it would be one page and it would say, eat, walk slowly, be large, rest. And it would still somehow feel productive. There's something quietly healing about that simplicity, because our lives can feel like a pile of tabs open in the brain, too many things blinking for attention. But the moose lives with one tab open at a time, one leaf, one step, one pause, one breath. Our question returns again. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Maybe it means letting routine be enough, letting small actions be enough, letting the day be built from gentle repetition rather than constant pushing. So tonight, if your mind is full of shoulds, you can soften them. You don't need to optimize sleep. You don't need to earn rest. You can simply follow a moose-like rhythm. Breathe, settle, drift, rest. And as we finish this first long exploration of the moose's world, we'll begin to rise gently into wonder, into the wider, quieter meanings that landscapes hold and what they can teach us about slowness, belonging and letting go. Wetlands remember, not in words, not in photographs, not in the way humans store memories in phones and folders. A marsh remembers through texture, through layers, through subtle marks that appear and fade, then appear again in different forms. A moose walks through a wetland and leaves tracks that hold for a while in soft mud. Later, a thin rain smooths them. A new set of tracks crosses in a different direction. Over seasons, the ground shifts, plants grow, water rises and falls, and the memory becomes less like a record and more like a gentle rewriting. Even the plants hold memory. Reed stems bend where they've been brushed. Moss grows thicker where moisture remains. Sediment settles slowly in water, carrying tiny stories of what drifted through. Bits of leaf, grains of soil, the quiet leftovers of a day. This kind of memory feels restful because it isn't trying to preserve everything. It allows change. It allows forgetting. It keeps what matters in a soft way and lets the rest dissolve back into the landscape. The Eurasian moose moves through this remembering world without needing to control it. It doesn't cling to yesterday's path. It follows what feels steady now. The wetland, in return, continues offering its calm resources, plants, water, sheltering edges, while gently reshaping itself over time. A small, affectionate smile. The marsh is not the type to hold a grudge. It doesn't keep receipts, it keeps reeds. And honestly, that's a healthier system. If you've been carrying heavy memories lately, tight, sharp ones, you can let the marsh teach you a softer way. Not erasing, not denying, just allowing. Allowing things to change shape, allowing time to smooth the edges, allowing the mind to be a landscape instead of a locked box. Our question returns, quieter now, like a remembered scent. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Perhaps it means letting the place change you gently, letting memory be flexible, letting the past settle like sediment at the bottom of a pond, still there, but no longer floating in your face. So as you breathe, imagine your thoughts becoming like wetland water. Anything heavy can sink. Anything light can drift away. You don't have to hold it tightly. You can let it settle. And in that settling, sleep becomes easier, not forced, not chased, just arriving the way fog arrives over a marsh, slowly, softly, and naturally. When people hear the word intelligence, they often imagine something fast, quick decisions, sharp focus, clever strategies. But nature offers another kind of intelligence, a slow intelligence, a gentle intelligence, the kind that doesn't need to think in sentences to work beautifully. A wetland ecosystem, for example, holds itself together through feedback loops, small, steady adjustments that keep things balanced. Water rises, plants respond. Water lowers, other plants take their turn. Nutrients move from soil to stem to leaf. Animals browse, plants regrow. Decomposition quietly recycles what falls. Everything participates, and no one has to shout about it. The Eurasian moose is part of that calm system. It feeds on vegetation, helping shape plant growth, not as destruction, but as interaction. Browsing can influence how shrubs grow, which plants become more common in certain spots, how new shoots emerge. The moose doesn't manage the ecosystem, but its routine becomes part of the landscape's ongoing conversation. And wetlands themselves are famously good at gentle work. They store water, slow down runoff, filter sediments, and create habitats for a wide range of life. They do all this without looking busy. They are like the quiet person in a group project who somehow does everything and still seems calm. A soft laugh. If the wetland had a job title, it would be Senior Coordinator of Calm, and the moose would be Large Consultant in Leaf Logistics. This slow intelligence is deeply comforting because it tells us that stability doesn't always come from force. It can come from responsiveness, from small, repeated adjustments, from giving and taking in gentle proportions. Our question returns again. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Maybe it means trusting these quiet systems, trusting that life can organize itself through softness rather than pressure. And maybe your own body is like that too. Your nervous system, your breathing, your sleep cycle, they are all built on feedback loops. Small signals, small shifts, a gradual settling. You don't have to command sleep like a strict manager. You can allow it, like a wetland allows water, holding it, filtering it, calming it. So if you feel restless, think like a marsh, not fix it, but adjust gently. Lower the shoulders, soften the face, exhale a little longer. Let the mind become quieter, not by force, but by patience. Because tonight, you're not a machine that needs to be optimized. You're a living ecosystem that knows how to settle slowly into rest. Adaptation can sound like a serious word, like something that requires effort and determination and motivational quotes. But in nature, adaptation often looks gentle. It looks like fur thickening as cold returns. It looks like behavior shifting as daylight changes. It looks like a calm body living in a place for a long time until it simply fits. The Eurasian moose is full of this quiet poetry. Long legs help it move through snow and shallow water. Broad hooves spread weight on soft ground. A thick coat holds warmth. A long face and strong neck support browsing and feeding on aquatic plants. None of these traits feel flashy. They feel practical, and somehow that practicality becomes beautiful, because it's not about being better. It's about being suited, being at home, and that is a soothing idea. You don't have to be the best at everything. You only have to be suited to your own life, softly, over time. Like the moose, you can adjust without turning it into a performance. A small smile. The moose is the master of quiet upgrades. No announcement, no rebrand, just suddenly excellent winter coat. Like nature woke up and said, "We're layering now. and the moose was already ready. Adaptation is also timing, knowing when to move a little more, when to rest more, when to eat differently. Moose respond to seasonal shifts with calm changes in routine, more aquatic plants when they're available, more woody browse when they're not, more shelter when winds sharpen, more pause when the day shortens. And perhaps this is what nature teaches most kindly. You don't have to force yourself into one fixed shape. You can adapt. You can soften. You can change your pace. You can choose rest when rest is the suited thing. Our question returns, warm and quiet. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Sometimes it means letting the place shape you gently, letting your routines adapt, letting your body guide you, letting your mind loosen into what it needs. So tonight, you can adapt towards sleep. You can adjust your breathing. You can settle your shoulders. You can let your thoughts become slower, like the moose moving through moonlit reeds. And as you do, you may notice that sleep is not something you conquer. It's something you fit into, like a warm coat, like a quiet forest, like a moose at home in the gentle north. In the natural world, patterns return the way old songs return, without needing an invitation. The moon waxes and wanes, seasons drift in and out, water rises, settles, then rises again. Leaves appear, soften, fall, and the bare branches wait without complaint. The Eurasian moose lives inside these returning patterns, like a quiet note in a larger melody. It doesn't need to predict every shift. It simply responds calmly as the world turns. In spring and summer, the landscape offers tender growth, fresh leaves, soft aquatic plants, long evenings. Moose browsing becomes greener, wetter, more abundant. In autumn, the air sharpens and the forest offers different textures: twigs, buds, woody stems. In winter, everything slows further, and the moose's body, coat, hooves, size, supports steady life in colder light. None of this is rushed. None of it is dramatic. It's a gentle cycling, like breathing. Inhale, exhale, return, repeat. And there's a deep comfort in that, because our human minds often treat change like a threat, like something we have to manage tightly. But nature treats change like a habit, like a familiar movement, like a turning page that doesn't need to be feared. A small, sleepy smile. The forest never has an identity crisis about autumn. It doesn't say, "Wait, am I still me if I'm not leafy?" It simply changes outfits and continues being a forest. Very confident. Very emotionally stable. These returning patterns can be soothing to imagine as you drift towards sleep. Your own night is a returning pattern too. You've done this before. This soft settling, this quiet dimming, this gradual easing away from the day. Even if some nights feel harder than others, the rhythm is familiar. The body knows the path. Our question floats back, gentle as a leaf on water. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Perhaps it means moving with the pattern instead of resisting it, allowing the cycle, allowing the return. So let your breath become an old song now, steady, quiet, and known. In and out, slow, soft, repeating. Let your thoughts arrive and leave like familiar verses you don't have to sing loudly anymore. Night returns, calm returns, sleep returns, and you can return with them, without effort, without forcing, just drifting as naturally as the moose drifting along a wetland edge, following patterns older than worry, softer than words. When people think of nature, they sometimes imagine loud drama, chases, storms, big scenes. But much of nature is cooperation so quiet it almost looks like nothing is happening. A plant offers nectar, an insect carries pollen, a tree provides shade, a wetland holds water. No contracts, no meetings, no group chat, just gentle exchange. The world of the Eurasian moose is full of these quiet partnerships. Wetlands cooperate with the sky by holding rainfall and snowmelt, releasing it slowly instead of letting it rush away. Plants cooperate with the soil by taking nutrients, then returning them when leaves fall and decompose. Moss cooperates with moisture by holding it like a sponge, keeping the ground softer and cooler. And animals like moose cooperate with the landscape simply by living in it, browsing, moving, resting, and becoming part of the nutrient cycle over time. Even a moose's browsing can be part of cooperation. Taking some leaves can encourage certain plants to grow back in new ways. Moving through an area can create small paths that other creatures may later use. Seeds can hitch quiet rides in fur or pass through digestion and return to the land. It's all very understated. A soft smile. The moose is basically doing community service, but it doesn't talk about it. The moose is the kind of helper who shows up, quietly does the work, and then disappears before anyone can say, "Wait, who was that?" Humble icon. And cooperation isn't just about action, it's also about allowing. The forest allows the moose to exist. The moose allows the forest to remain the forest. Neither is trying to dominate the other. They share space through calm, repeated habits. Our question comes back again. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Maybe it means joining the quiet cooperation instead of forcing your own agenda, moving in a way that fits. And you can practice that tonight. You can cooperate with your own body. Instead of fighting tiredness, you can allow it. Instead of pushing thoughts away harshly, you can let them drift out softly. Instead of demanding sleep instantly, you can let sleep arrive like a friend who walks slowly. Your blanket supports you. Your pillow holds you. Your breath carries you. That's cooperation too. Simple, gentle systems working together so you can rest. So let your shoulders loosen. Let your forehead soften. Let the muscles in your face become calmer. You don't have to do sleep. You can simply cooperate with the conditions that make sleep possible. And in that quiet cooperation, you may notice the room feels softer, the night feels kinder, and your mind begins to settle the way a wetland settles after a breeze, smooth, still, and ready to rest. In nature, endings rarely slam shut. They soften, they taper, they drift into something else, the way a long exhale becomes quiet air. A leaf doesn't fail when it falls. It completes its season. It becomes part of the ground again. It breaks down slowly, feeding the soil that will feed new growth later. In this way, nature doesn't treat endings like tragedies. It treats them like transitions, gentle, necessary, and often beautiful. The Eurasian moose lives inside these cycles too. Seasons end, antlers are shed, summer greenery fades, winter quiet arrives, and the moose continues, adapting without drama, letting each phase be what it is. There's something comforting about that, especially if you've been holding on tightly to something in your own life, an old worry, an old tension, an old story that keeps replaying. Nature suggests a softer approach, not fix it instantly, but let it complete its season. A small, kind laugh. Moss never has a midlife crisis. A birch tree doesn't panic when leaves fall. They don't text their friends like, "Am I still valid?" They simply exhale into the next phase. It's honestly very mature. You can borrow that maturity tonight, because sleep is also a small ending, a gentle closing of the day, not a harsh shutdown, a soft transition. The day releases you, and you release the day. Our question returns, almost like a lullaby now. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Perhaps it means letting transitions happen, letting endings be gentle, letting the mind stop gripping. So if there's something you've been replaying, imagine it like a leaf. Let it detach slowly. Let it drift down. Let it rest on the ground of your mind. You don't have to tear it away. You don't have to analyze it. You can simply let it fall and let the quiet do the rest. Feel your breath in your chest, in and out, like a calm tide. Each exhale is a tiny ending that makes room for the next inhale. Each blink is a tiny closing. Each moment of heaviness in your body is your system saying, "We're transitioning now." And as the night continues, let yourself be part of that life cycle. Let the day end without debate. Let rest begin without effort. Let sleep arrive like a soft, natural conclusion, steady, quiet, and kind. Slowness is often misunderstood. In human life, slow can feel like falling behind. But in nature, slow is often the default, steady, patient, quietly effective. A marsh forms slowly. A forest grows slowly. Moss spreads slowly. A moose moves slowly. And none of these things are failing. They're thriving in the pace that fits them. The Eurasian moose is a gentle ambassador of slowness. Its steps are measured. Its feeding is unhurried. Its pauses feel natural, not lazy. The moose doesn't apologize for moving at the speed of a creature that belongs to long winters and wide wetlands. And when you watch, softly, in your imagination, something in you relaxes. because the moose isn't doing slow as a trend. It's doing slow as truth. A sleepy smile. The moose would be very bad at fast-paced productivity hacks. It would refuse. It would simply stand in a swamp and chew thoughtfully, and somehow that would still feel like the correct life choice. Slowness also creates room for noticing. At a slow pace, you can feel the texture of air. You can hear subtle sounds. You can sense the weight of your own body and realize it's okay to be heavy. In fact, it's comforting. Sleep is the ultimate practice of slowness. It's your body stepping out of urgency. It's your mind releasing the need to solve. It's your breath stretching out like a long, gentle ribbon. Our question returns again. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Perhaps it means moving slowly enough to fit. Slowly enough to not disturb. Slowly enough to remain connected. So tonight, let your thoughts become slow. If a thought appears, let it walk past like a moose, not sprinting, not dramatic, just passing by. Let your breathing slow, in and out, soft, steady, patient. If you feel yourself trying to make sleep happen, you can stop trying. Slowness isn't something you force. It's something you allow, like water settling, like fog drifting, like a moose standing peacefully at the edge of a pond. And as you allow that pace, you may notice sleep begins to arrive on its own, quietly, naturally, like the night has been waiting politely for you to stop hurrying. Home is not always a building. In nature, home is often a feeling, a familiarity with certain smells, certain textures, certain rhythms. It's a sense of belonging to a place that fits your body and your needs. For the Eurasian moose, home might be the meeting of forest and wetland, the damp scent of reeds, the cool shade of conifers, the soft give of moss under hoof, the slow availability of plants, leaf, twig, water green. It's not one exact spot. It's a landscape that feels right, and the moose moves through that home without needing to own it. It doesn't fence it. It doesn't label it. It simply belongs to it, and the landscape belongs to itself. A gentle smile. The moose is the ultimate minimalist. No decorations, no clutter, just water, leaves, and vibes. And it works. This idea of home can be soothing as you drift toward sleep, because sleep itself is a kind of homecoming, not to a place, but to a state, your body returning to its natural rhythm, your mind returning to softness, your nervous system returning to quiet. Our question returns, warm and familiar now. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Maybe it means letting yourself belong, letting home be something you feel, not something you control. So tonight, let your bed be your wetland edge, safe, soft, supportive. Let the room around you be your forest, quiet, dim, steady. Let your breath be the path that connects them. If your thoughts feel far from home, you can guide them back gently, not by pushing, just by returning to sensations, the weight of your blanket, the softness under your head, the slow movement of breath in your chest, in and out, like water touching reeds. And as you settle into that feeling, you may notice that home isn't somewhere you have to reach. It's something you can arrive at by letting go of effort, by allowing stillness, by becoming quiet enough to feel the simple truth. You are safe here. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to drift. And now, having risen gently into wonder, we'll begin to descend again, back toward the quiet question, back toward settling water and easing wind, back toward the soft return of sleep. The night has a way of looping back on itself, gently. The pond grows smoother. The reeds stop swaying so much. The forest becomes quieter, as if it's settling deeper into its own comfort. And in that soft quiet, our question returns, not as a problem, not as a puzzle, more like a familiar scent that drifts by and then lingers. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? You don't have to answer. You can simply feel it. The Eurasian moose has been showing us one soft possibility all along. It moves without fuss. It browses without hurry. It rests without guilt. It takes what it needs in gentle portions and leaves behind only faint tracks that the earth smooths away in time. Its presence is large, but it doesn't feel loud. It's steady. It fits. And maybe fitting is the whole point. Moving in a way that doesn't scrape against the world. Moving in a way that doesn't scrape against yourself. Tonight, you can practice that kind of fitting. You can let your body rest exactly where it is, without asking it to be different. You can let your thoughts appear without wrestling them. You can let the day be the day and let it end. The forest doesn't demand a perfect mind. The moose doesn't demand perfect conditions. They work with what is. They let the night be a gentle container, a nearly inaudible little smile. The moose has never once said, "I'll rest when I've earned it." The moose rests when it's time, and it does so with the calm confidence of a creature that understands something essential. So let the question drift through you like fog. Fog doesn't push. Fog doesn't argue. Fog simply arrives and softens the edges of everything it touches. It turns sharp outlines into gentle shapes. It makes distance feel less important. It makes the world feel quieter. If a worry rises in your mind, let fog move in around it. Not to erase it, just to soften it. If a thought repeats, let fog blur its sharpness until it becomes less gripping. You're not forcing anything. You're allowing the night to do its natural work. Now let your breathing become the main sound in your world. In and out, slow, quiet, steady. Let your shoulders sink. Let your hands become heavy. Let your jaw loosen. The moose stands somewhere in the distance, calm and unhurried, as if it's part of the landscape's own breathing. And you, right now, can be part of that same rhythm. Not changing, not fixing, just drifting, just settling. There's a small miracle that happens when wind eases. Water smooths itself. Ripples become smaller, then fewer, then almost nothing. The pond doesn't need help. It doesn't need instructions. It simply returns to stillness, the way a calm mind returns to quiet when it is no longer being stirred. Imagine the wetland now, late in the night. The surface of the pond is dark, with a faint glaze of moonlight. The reeds lean, not moving much. The air feels steady. Everything seems to have settled into place, as if the whole landscape has found its most comfortable position. The Eurasian moose is nearby, maybe at the water's edge, maybe among the trees where the wind is softer. Its presence feels like a slow anchor, not holding anything down, just reminding the world that stillness is possible. Moose and wetlands share a kind of patience. They don't rush to change states. They let changes happen naturally. They are comfortable with slow transitions, water becoming calm, night becoming deeper, breath becoming slower. Our question returns quietly again. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Perhaps it means trusting the return to stillness, trusting that you don't have to push yourself into calm. Calm is already a place your body knows. So tonight, instead of trying to sleep harder, you can do something simpler. You can stop stirring the water. If you notice your mind turning over a thought, you can let it float for a moment and then drift away. If you notice tension in your forehead or shoulders, let it loosen the way ripples loosen when wind stops. No effort, just allowing. Feel your breath, smooth and quiet, in and out, like water rising and falling in a very small, gentle tide. If it helps, imagine each exhale as a ripple fading. Exhale, the ripple shrinks. Exhale, it fades. Exhale, the surface becomes calmer. A tiny, almost silent smile. The pond has never once said, "I'm failing at being still." The pond simply becomes still when conditions soften, and you are allowed to do the same. Let the room around you be a quiet pond. Let your blanket be the shoreline. Let your thoughts be the last small ripples, gradually disappearing. And as the water smooths itself, as the forest grows quieter, sleep begins to feel closer. Not like something to chase, but like something returning naturally, the way water returns to calm. By now, the night feels deeper, less like an open sky and more like a soft room. The edges of things blur, the forest settles, and you can begin to loosen the day in the same gentle way leaves loosen from branches. You don't have to tear anything away. You don't have to force release. You can let it happen slowly, leaf by leaf. Imagine a birch tree near the wetland. Its leaves are light, thin, and delicate. When a leaf is ready, it doesn't argue. It doesn't cling dramatically. It simply lets go, drifting down in a quiet spiral, landing softly on moss or water. Now imagine your day as a branch holding many small leaves, little tasks, little conversations, little thoughts that kept you company. Some were useful, some were heavy, some were just there. And now you can let them fall one by one, without reviewing each one like a report. A leaf might be a text you didn't answer. A leaf might be something you meant to do. A leaf might be a worry you carried around like a pebble in your pocket. You don't have to solve any of it right now. You can let it drift down. The Eurasian moose does not carry the day on its back. It moves through the world and then rests. It doesn't rehearse what it could have browsed differently. It doesn't replay the wetland edge like a highlight reel. It simply settles into stillness when the time comes. Our question returns softly. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Perhaps it means letting the day be finished, letting it be what it was, letting it end, so you can loosen your body now gently. Let your forehead soften, let your shoulders drop, let your arms feel heavier, as if gravity is doing the work for you. If you feel any tightness, you can imagine it as a leaf still hanging, ready to fall on the next exhale. Inhale and exhale. Let one leaf go. Inhale and exhale. Let another leaf go. A nearly inaudible smile. Even the leaves don't write to-do lists about falling. They simply fall. Very efficient, very calm. And as you let your own small leaves drift away, the room becomes quieter inside you. The mind becomes less busy. The body becomes more comfortable. And sleep becomes not a goal, but a gentle continuation of this loosening, one slow breath at a time. Somewhere near the wetland, the Eurasian moose becomes less distinct. Not because it disappears in a dramatic way, but because night makes everything softer. Its large body blends into shadow. Its outline becomes a calm shape among trees and reeds, like the forest has gently welcomed it into the dark. The moose stands or rests in a sheltered place, perhaps among conifers where the wind is quieter, where the ground feels steady, where the air holds warmth close. Its breathing is slow. Its presence is steady. Nothing about it feels hurried. Even a large animal can look like stillness itself when it relaxes. The moose seems to settle into the night the way you settle into your blanket, by letting your weight sink and allowing comfort to hold you. And as you imagine this, you may notice your own body wanting to mirror it. Your muscles soften. Your limbs feel heavier. Your breathing becomes slower, less intentional, more natural. Our question returns again, almost whispering now. What does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? Maybe it means knowing when to stop moving, knowing when to let the world keep being itself while you rest inside it. The moose doesn't demand a perfect sleeping spot. It finds a quiet corner and makes peace with it. It doesn't insist the forest be silent. It simply accepts the small sounds that exist. It doesn't seek to control the night. It simply belongs to it. A tiny, lullaby-soft smile. The moose has never once adjusted its pillow 47 times. It finds good enough and then immediately becomes peaceful. Iconic behavior, honestly. So now you can do the same. Let good enough be enough. Let your blanket be enough. Let your room be enough. Let your body be enough. If thoughts come, let them pass like distant shadows. If a sound occurs outside, let it be part of the night, not a problem. The moose hears many small sounds and remains calm. You can too. Feel your breath settle low and steady, in and out, slow, gentle, almost effortless. Each exhale is like the moose easing deeper into shadow. Each inhale is like the night holding you safely. And as the moose becomes a quiet shape in darkness, you can allow your own awareness to become softer. You don't need sharp focus now. You can drift. You can blur at the edges. You can let sleep gather around you like shadow gathers under trees, quiet, steady, and kind. Now the night feels settled, as if it has found its most comfortable shape. The pond lies smooth and dark. The reeds barely move. The forest holds stillness, the way hands hold warm tea, gently, without squeezing. Somewhere out there, the Eurasian moose remains part of this calm, either standing in a sheltered corner or resting in soft shadow, breathing slowly, letting the world be what it is. Nothing needs to happen. Nothing needs to change. The night is already doing its quiet work, and you can rest beneath the same kind of sky, even if you're indoors, even if you're far from wetlands and birch trees. The feeling is what matters. A spacious quiet, a steady rhythm, a gentle belonging. Let your breathing become the main story now. In and out, in and out. Each inhale is like cool air moving through reeds. Each exhale is like water smoothing itself again. If thoughts appear, let them drift by like thin clouds. You don't need to follow them. You don't need to solve them. You can let them pass and return to the simple sensation of breath. If you notice your body holding any tightness, forehead, jaw, shoulders, let that loosen as if you're placing something down, not dropping it, not throwing it away, just setting it down beside you, where it can wait quietly until morning. A tiny lullaby soft smile. Even the stones out by the pond look relaxed. They've had practice, and you are allowed to practice too, one quiet night at a time. The moose's world is built from steady routines. Browse, pause, breathe, rest. And yours can be too, at least for tonight. Breathe, soften, drift, sleep. Feel the weight of your blanket. Let it be the forest canopy. Feel the support beneath you. Let it be the mossy ground. Let your room become a quiet clearing where nothing is required of you. And if our question returns one last time, what does it mean to move through a place without trying to change it? You can let it fade now. It doesn't need an answer. It has already done its work, gently guiding you towards softness. Now, the night holds you. The air holds you. Your breath holds you. And you can simply rest. The forest repeats itself in comforting ways. Water touches reeds again and again. Wind brushes leaves again and again. Crickets, when they sing the same simple patterns. Nothing complicated, nothing urgent. Just steady repetition. Like a lullaby the earth has been humming for a very long time. tonight, you can borrow that repetition. Let your breath become a gentle pattern you don't have to think about. In and out, in and out. If your mind tries to do its usual thing, reviewing, planning, replaying, you can let it. You don't need to wrestle it. You can simply bring your attention back to the rhythm, the way you'd return to a familiar chorus in a song. The Eurasian moose lives in repetition too. It returns to wetlands. It returns to forest edges. It returns to feeding and resting and moving slowly through a landscape that doesn't demand speed. The moose doesn't chase novelty for novelty's sake. It trusts the comfort of what's familiar. A tiny smile, soft as a whisper. The moose has never said, "I need a fresh new routine to reinvent myself." The moose is like, "I will have reeds again." And honestly, that level of consistency is soothing. Repetition is not boredom here. It's safety. It's the mind learning, again and again, that nothing is required, that the body can soften, that the night is a safe place to let go. So you might notice your eyelids feeling heavier. Let them. You might notice your breathing slowing without you trying. Let it. You might notice the space between thoughts becoming wider. Let it. If it helps, you can quietly count your exhale, just for a few breaths. No pressure, no goal. Exhale 1, exhale 2, exhale 3. And if you lose count, that's perfect. Losing count means you're drifting, and drifting is exactly what we want. Sleep loves when you stop keeping score. The pond outside the imagined forest grows even smoother now. The air becomes still. The reeds stand quietly, as if listening to the silence. Let that silence become your comfort. Let the repetition of breath become your lullaby. Let your body become heavier, like a stone warming slowly in moonlight. Nothing to do, nothing to fix, just the gentle pattern of resting. Now everything begins to blur in the nicest way. The sharp edges of the day soften. The outlines of thoughts become less defined. Like moonlight on water, the mind becomes gentler, smoother, quieter. Imagine the wetland once more, but even more distant now, like a dream you're already inside. The reeds are only shapes. The pond is only dark shine. The trees are tall shadows. And somewhere within that softness, the moose is simply there. Not as a subject to study, not as a fact to remember, just a calm presence, like a slow heartbeat in the landscape. This is where we let facts fade. We don't need details anymore. We don't need to hold information. We only need the feeling. Steady, safe, quiet. Let your face soften. Let your tongue rest gently in your mouth. Let the muscles around your eyes loosen, as if they're tired in a comfortable way. Let your shoulders sink down and away from your ears. If you feel any last pieces of tension, you can imagine them dissolving like fog, dissolving into night air. A small, sleepy smile. Even the forest looks like it's logging off. And for once, you get to do that too, without replying to anything first. Your breath continues, quietly, in, out, in, out. If a thought comes, Treat it like a leaf drifting on water. Watch it float by. No need to grab it, no need to follow it downstream. It can pass, and you can return to the sensation of breathing, soft, steady, simple. The moose's world is full of soft edges, mossy ground, misty air, slow water, and your inner world can be soft-edged too. You don't need sharpness right now. You don't need brightness. You don't need control, just softness. Let the room around you feel a little farther away, the way it does when you're close to sleep. Let the sounds, if any, become part of the background. Let your attention narrow down to one simple thing, the slow comfort of exhaling. And when you exhale, imagine the pond smoothing itself again. Imagine the reeds standing still again. Imagine the moose settling deeper into shadow again. Everything returning to quiet again. You're allowed to be quiet. You're allowed to drift. You're allowed to sleep. There is a kind of belonging that doesn't require effort. It doesn't require proving anything. It doesn't require explaining yourself. It's the belonging of a creature in its habitat, and the habitat simply accepting it. The Eurasian moose belongs to the northern wetlands and forests the way water belongs to reeds, the way moss belongs to damp ground, the way night belongs to the quiet spaces between trees. No announcement, no permission slip, just a natural fit. And tonight, you can feel that same kind of belonging right where you are. In your bed, under your blanket, in the dimness of your room. You don't have to do anything to deserve rest. Rest is not a reward. It's a natural rhythm, like darkness returning. Let your breathing stay slow and easy. Let your body feel supported. Let your thoughts become fewer, softer, farther apart. If you notice any last bit of worry trying to hold on, you can treat it gently. You don't have to argue with it. You can simply let it sit at the edge of your awareness, like a distant tree line, present, but not close. Then let your attention drift back to breath. A tiny lullaby-like smile. The moose doesn't worry about being productive tonight. The moose is simply being a moose, and you, tonight, can simply be a resting human. That's enough. That's perfect. The night outside the imagined wetland is calm. The pond is still. The reeds are quiet. The forest holds its soft darkness like a blanket. And somewhere in that scene, the moose remains steady, part of the earth's rhythm, unhurried, safe. You are part of that rhythm too. Even if you're far away from that landscape, the same natural motion exists in you. The slow rise and fall of breath, the steady heart, the gentle loosening of muscles as sleep approaches. Belonging can be as simple as letting yourself rest without resistance. So let your eyelids stay heavy. Let the corners of your mouth soften. Let your hands and feet relax. Let your whole body become comfortably still, like a calm shoreline under moonlight. And if you drift now, if the words blur and you slip away, that's exactly right. That's the night doing what it does best, turning everything softer, quieter, kinder. The The wetland is quiet now, as if it has reached the deepest part of night. The pond holds darkness like velvet. The reeds stand still. The trees are tall shadows that feel gentle rather than imposing. The air is cool and calm, and the world seems to be breathing in one slow rhythm. Somewhere, the Eurasian moose rests within this softness, settled, steady, unbothered, not thinking, not planning, not doing anything extra, simply existing in a way that feels like peace. And you can follow that rhythm now, without effort. Let your breath be the last thread you hold. In, out, in, out. No need to make it perfect. No need to control it. It can happen on its own, like water moving around stones, like fog drifting through reeds, like night continuing across the earth. If thoughts come, let them thin out. Let them become distant, like a far-off shoreline. Let them fade at the edges. You don't need to chase them. You don't need to catch them. You can let them flow through and pass. A tiny, sleepy smile, almost too quiet to hear. Even the stones seem relaxed. They've had practice, and you are allowed to practice too, in the gentlest way. Now let the feeling of the forest return one last time, not as an image you have to hold sharply, but as a softness around you. Mossy ground beneath, cool air above, water nearby, a calm animal presence in the distance, the world peaceful, not demanding. And then, even that image can fade, like moonlight sliding behind clouds, like a ripple disappearing into still water. All that remains is the comfort of resting. And as you drift deeper, quieter, let these final lines settle gently over you, unchanged, like a soft blanket placed on your thoughts. Everything flows through the wild. Sleep in that motion,